WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. A West Point man is behind bars in Lowndes County in connection with a September shooting. Cortez Rashawn Young has been arrested, and sheriff's investigators confirmed he is charged with aggravated assault. On September 29th, Cedric Jackson was shot 6 times at his fiance's home on Highway 69 near Concourse Road. Jackson tells WCBI the suspect shot him once, then again and again as he struggled for his life.
When he shot, the first shot, it was just like a experience, I never felt, so it's kind of in shock. And that's when I heard another shot, so that's when I lunged out.
Now, Jackson says he was shot and pistol whipped even as he fought his attacker to the ground. He says the suspect finally ran away, jumping in the passenger side of a black Impala that left the scene.
After 6 gunshots, several surgeries, and 8 days in the hospital, Jackson says his survival is due to his faith.
If he was here in my face, I'd tell him I still love him, and I hope he changed his life around. I hope he give his life to Christ.
Deputies are also looking for 28-year-old Antoine Marquise Williams as a person of interest in the case.
Well, it's been 3 years since an altercation at a West Point restaurant turned violent. Today, the final suspect in the beating of a West Point man is sentenced. Judge
Jim Kitchen sentenced 26-year-old Kent Davis of Okolona to 10 years. Davis pleaded guilty Monday to aggravated assault in the August 2014 attack on Ralph Weems. Our Jory Talley had the only camera in the courtroom. She joins us in the studio with more. Jory?
Weems and a group of friends allegedly exchanged words with Davis and 2 other men outside the West Point Waffle House. The 2 groups once again crossed paths at the Huddle House. That's when investigators say Davis and 2 others attacked Weems, leaving him in a coma.
The number 3 plays a big role in Friday's sentencing of 26-year-old Kent Davis. Davis is the 3rd and final suspect to be sentenced in connection with the Huddle House beating of Marine and Iraq War vet Ralph Weems. It's also relevant because the sentencing closes a 3-year-long case.
He got 10 years with 5 suspended and 5 to serve, with 5 years post-release supervision.
David Knighton was with Weems the night of the altercation. The Air Force vet took the stand this morning in the sentencing phase of the case. He cleared some of the false narratives many believed were motives for the attack at the restaurant.
Attack Ralph Weems or you simply because you were white?
No.
Did they attack you, in your opinion, because you were a member of the military?
I don't believe so, no.
Was there ever even anything during this entire night brought up about your military service?
Not at all.
Knighton says he's glad he can start moving on with his life.
It's my hope that this is a safe community, and that we can, now that we have the convictions, we can proceed forward with our lives, healing and restoring the reputation of this community.
Assistant District Attorney Scott Rogelio says Weems is doing well, but has a long way to go. Weems' family understands this is the best legal outcome.
I think the judge said it best too. I don't know who can say that they're happy with what happened and the outcome, but they certainly understand the evidence that we had, and they understood that this was the best outcome for them that we could get, and that they are now moving on with the civil process.
Knighton says he also understands that, but also believes this.
In my eyes, this is partial justice, even though law enforcement did the best they could with the information that they could obtain.
Marquavius McMillan and Cortez McMillan were also sentenced in connection with the Huddle House beating.
3 Monroe County men are in jail tonight facing drug charges. On Thursday, investigators raided a home in Rye Bottom. Deputies recovered heroin, THC, marijuana, firearms, pills, and thousands of dollars in cash. Jerry Whitfield was arrested and has been charged with possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell. Thomas Bell and Devonta McGee are being charged with possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell and sell of heroin.
These drug dealers, they've been on our radar. but they're selling some of the most potent drugs in the world, which is heroin. Heroin will kill you. Heroin will take your life. It will take your job. It will take your family. It'll put you in the penitentiary, or it'll put you in the cemetery. It's a bad situation when you get on heroin. It is hard to kick.
Sheriff Cantrell says he and his deputies are working hard to keep heroin from getting a foothold in the area. Time now to turn our attention to weather. Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson has your first look. Keith?
Joey in Starkville right now, 81 degrees, tents all ready to go for the football game tomorrow. And weather is going to be great for Starkville, Oxford, Tuscaloosa on Saturday. Right now we are very warm, low and mid 80s, although Corinth already showing up at 79. We will cool down into the 70s here as the sun continues to set, and eventually this evening into the 60s. So maybe a light jacket later on this evening as we wrap up high school football. Lows tonight, not as cool, 60s. Full forecast in just a few minutes.
The entire staff of the Starkville Police Department is finally under the same roof. After a year and a half of renovations, the new building opened to the public this morning.
Yeah, WCBI's Selena Schaefer was there and joins us live in the studio with more. Selena?
That's right. City leaders say it was a 20-year project in the making. After a few postponements, the city opens its doors to the brand new facility that welcomes many new features, all the while preserving historical ones.
I knew that we would one day have a facility, but it far exceeded my expectations to have this beautiful facility.
The renovation cost $5.4 million and is complete with everything the police department could want, but it wasn't an easy road.
In the middle of this project, they decided that we were not going to build it after we had moved out into 7 different locations.
Chief Frank Nichols says he owes plenty of thanks to the Board of Aldermen who came through for the department.
The board decided to raise taxes so we can be able to afford this building.
City leaders spoke of the pride this building stands for and the preservation of history throughout.
This is a 70-year-old building that they decided to revitalize. This building is an A1 facility that makes this whole downtown looks good.
Part of it is to have such a wonderful building that we didn't know was as wonderful as it is. You know, once we peel back all those layers and saw what we had, the original flooring and all the things that goes with it, it makes us very proud, and I think it gives us a place where our police department can be very, very proud of being on a daily basis and serving the community like they do. They deserve a really wonderful facility, and I think this is so much more than anybody ever anticipated it was going to be.
The ribbon cutting was a community event and plenty were in attendance. Many thanks also was given to the men and women in blue who keep Starkville safe.
And I think you saw from the attendance outside today that the community is behind it and really excited to have this one done so that we can just point to it as a place of pride and a place of history, and we can move forward and on to the next things that cities have to do.
Now, the basement, which was flooded and was the reason the initial opening was postponed, is no longer waterlogged, but is still being renovated. None of the construction, however, will interfere with the department's work. Andrea?
A San Francisco-based airline wants to be cleared for landing in Tupelo. Boutique Air made its presentation to the members of the Tupelo Airport Board as part of the negotiation process under the government's Essential Air Service program. Contour Airlines' EAS contract expires next spring. Boutique Air is proposing several options for Tupelo, including Dallas, Atlanta, or Nashville. The airline would fly 30 round trips per week.
We focus on customer service and reliability, and we also have good technology, so it makes it easy to book and change your flights. In addition to that, we are proposing to do additional flying that we don't have to do, but that we just would want to do to connect our Tupelo to other destinations.
Now, Contour Air wants to stay in the Tupelo market. It will make a pitch to the board members next week.
When we come back, we check in on an early fright night in Starkville.
But it looks like there are more treats than tricks. We'll have the ghoulish details when we come back. Welcome back. Halloween comes a little bit early in Starkville. Ghosts and goblins are already hitting the streets.
The annual Pumpkin Palooza is underway, and our Scott Martin is joining us in the fun, and he's live from downtown Starkville with more.
Yeah, Andre, here at the Haunted Trolley here in downtown Starkville, and you can see these are some of the characters inside that Haunted Trolley. And now I talked to some people coming out just a moment ago, and they said it was pretty scary. So I'm not going inside, but if you like it, if you like terror, go ahead and go inside and check it out. A lot of fun out here tonight. Kids are painting pumpkins, decorating them for Halloween, and check out their costumes. A lot of kids, everyone all dressed up in their costumes. I saw some really creative costumes. I'll have a picture of one of those tonight at 9 and 10, or at 9 o'clock rather. It's a really fun event out here. The Mississippi State Bulldog cheerleaders out here cheering as well. They opened the festival up at 6 o'clock with a pep rally, you know, the home football game on Saturday. A great time out here. It lasts till 8 o'clock. Shopping, lots of fun, trick-or-treating. Come on out. For now, reporting live in Starkville, Scott Martin, WCBI News.
Some scary goblins there, huh? All right, a stage production based on the true story of Tupelo's first African-American deputy police chief premieres this weekend. Badge Unbroken covers the career of Robert Hall. Hall resigned 10 years ago after pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges in connection with his release of a hit-and-run suspect. He was later rehired by former Tupelo Police Chief Tony Carlton, but resigned after he was denied law enforcement recertification. The cast and crew hope the production will tell Hall's story.
The story of it being the true story. You know, there's a lot of times there's the truth and then the other truth and then what really happened. And I think that it's very important for everybody to have a voice. So I think that getting the truth out about this story is probably the most important thing.
The same type of action, same type of story happens in the services, whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard. So this is relatable across a broad spectrum.
The play is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at the Tupelo Civic Auditorium.
Still a warm 81 in Oxford right now, getting ready for football tomorrow at 2:30. Kickoff temperature, Vanderbilt and Ole Miss, 87 degrees. A warm football Saturday for us, but cooler weather lurks. The full forecast.
Your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
So nice to see you on this Friday evening. That little dot right there way out in the eastern Atlantic, that is Hurricane Ophelia. And look at this high-resolution satellite photo from NASA today. Very symmetrical, a Category 2 storm right now. It's going to lose its tropical characteristics, but still have a lot of wind as it moves to the northeast and moves into Ireland and parts of western parts of the UK early next week. So hard to believe that system is going to be affecting parts of Europe. It's not coming our way. That's good news for us here in the United States. Now, a live look in West Alabama in Vernon at Durham's Pharmacy. The sun has set. It's going to be a quiet evening for us, but a warm day tomorrow in Columbus and Tupelo. We're forecasting highs in the upper 80s, very close to some of these old records in Columbus and Tupelo, probably just shy of them, but it will be a warm Saturday here as we start the weekend. But if you are a fan of the fall weather, we had a little taste the last couple of days. We will have a more prolonged taste as we get into next week. We will have that coming on back after the weekend. So some warmer weather for the weekend, much cooler as we get into next week. Temperatures right now in just about all places low and mid 80s. But the sun is going on down now, and we will quickly fall into the 70s and some 60s this evening, and only bottom out in the low 60s tonight. Mainly clear, not as cool the last couple of nights, down into the 50s, so not as chilly tonight. BYU at MSU on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, around 80 degrees at kickoff, 87 by the fourth quarter. We talked about Ole Miss going to break. Let's talk about the Arkansas-Alabama game, around 81 at kickoff, 6:15, and then by the fourth quarter, mid-70s tomorrow in Tuscaloosa. But during the day, you will need sunglasses, sunscreen, a hat, what have you. It's going to be a warm day with highs in the upper 80s. There's a cold front back to the northwest. That front is likely going to spark some strong to severe thunderstorm activity from the Chicago area through Kansas City to Oklahoma City tomorrow. But as that front gets a little bit closer to us on Sunday, the moisture really runs out. The energy stays to our north, so we'll have the front come on through here. Clouds increase Sunday, and there could be a little bit of rain, and then some drier weather, sunnier weather as we get into next week. Here's our 7-day forecast. Look at this. 88 degrees tomorrow, 85 on Sunday, a 30% chance for some rain Sunday afternoon and Sunday night. And then next week, gorgeous weather, the best week of fall thus far. Low 70s on Monday, lows into the mid 40s here Monday night, but we moderate back to around 80 next Friday.
We are everywhere. Our biggest game of the week to date, West Point, South Panola, Starkville, we have it all coming up next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
TGIF and welcome to our biggest game of the week to date. I'm Tom Ebel here live in West Point for the battle of the undefeateds in 5A, and of course I couldn't be in West Point without repping the chain. My favorite chain. Okay, so I got to take you through this. West Point has this chain. They also have a bling ball for best special teams play, and they also have the championship belt for a defensive player. West Point, along with being undefeated in football, they're undefeated in the prop game to this point. So let's talk about the big game coming up tonight against Olive Branch. Battle of the undefeateds, as I mentioned, in 5A. West Point leads the series against Olive Branch 3-2. This is only the 6th meeting between these two programs, and both teams have looked as dominant as ever here on the onset. West Point averaging close to 40 points per game, giving up only 8. Olive Branch, 40 points, giving up only 8 a game. It's going to be a fantastic game to decide who's going to stay toward the top in this division. And West Point, they can make the argument they've played the tougher team so far to this point, and I think Olive Branch could be their toughest test to date. So as I mentioned, a huge lineup of Game of the Week. Now we're going to send it over to Robbie Donahoe in Starkville with a recap of the Yellow Jackets taking on Madison Central.
Thank you very much, Tom, and good evening. We welcome you here to part 2 of our Carl Hogan Toyota Game of the Week. Madison Central at Starkville. We are here at the Nest, well, student section over there, the Nest, they're getting ready to roll. But this is, for all intents and purposes, the division decider. Now, Warren Central will obviously factor into this Region 2 6A race down the road, but tonight, the winner of this game will take sole possession of first place in Region 2 6A. And when these two teams match up, weird things seem to happen. Now, Starkville lost their first game to Madison Central in the last 5 meetings last year, and that loss to the Jaguars really derailed the Jackets' hopes of getting back into the playoffs. You know that they were your defending 6A state champs from 2015, didn't make the playoffs last year in 2016. We've already heard some of the players saying we want payback this year for what happened last year against Madison Central. So it'll be a big-time matchup between the Jackets and the Jaguars. Again, kicking off at 7 p.m. We will have highlights, all sorts of great stuff coming up tonight on the End Zone, 10:06 p.m. on WCBI, right here on WCBI, and then 11 p.m. on the CW4. We hope you can join us for all the action. But again, this is just part 2 of our Carl Hogan Toyota Game of the Week. Part 3, we throw it all the way up to Batesville. We take a trip on I-55 and catch up with Jonathan Flippo. He has more from Tupelo at South Panola. Jonathan?
Good evening. Thank you, Robbie. I'm here in Batesville, Mississippi for a huge 6A matchup for our End Zone Part 3 Game of the Week, as the undefeated Tupelo Golden Wave are here on the road tonight to take on the South Panola Tigers. Now, a few fun facts for you. The Tupelo Golden Wave have not won here since 2001, so they'll look to change that. Now, last meeting was back in Tupelo last year. The Golden Wave won that game in a defensive slugfest of 3-0. Now, also, the Golden Wave head coach Trent Hammond, since taking over the Golden Wave in 2013, he's not won but 2 times against the South Panola Tigers. So he'll look for his 3rd overall win, career win, as the head coach of Tupelo. Now, we also have to give it up for the Tupelo offense. They're averaging 39 points per game this season, which is 3rd best in the 6A. So we'll have much more tonight on our End Zone at 10:05. We've also have another Game of the Week. We'll send it back out to Tom. He's in West Point for the undefeated matchup between the West Point Green Wave and the Olive Branch Conquistadors in that division. For more, we'll send it back to Tom in West Point.
Thank you very much, Robbie and Jonathan. Of course, we can't forget about our other Game of the Week, Starkville Academy taking on Heritage Academy. Both teams undefeated in the division. It's going to be a fantastic game as that as well. Make sure you tune in tonight at 10 for WCBI End Zone. We've got West Point, Starkville Academy, Tupelo, Starkville, Heritage. We're everywhere. Make sure you tune in tonight to WCBI End Zone for all the highlights and scores. What do you think? What a day for football. That's it for here in West Point. Tom Ebel will have a last year forecast coming up next.
Teams were in the swing this afternoon at the MSU golf course. The fundraiser for the communications department at MSU is in its 11th year. The teams pay to play, with money going to scholarships for students majoring in communications at Mississippi State. Prizes were handed to golfers who played well, and I'm sure they all did. And then everybody had a free lunch. WCBI is a gold sponsor of this annual tournament. Good day for some golf, wasn't it?
Yeah, and if you're doing golfing tomorrow or maybe Sunday, we're looking great. Cooler next week. No, I'm wishing for the next 7 days, so that's the downside, but pretty nice weather going forward here.
Yeah, even 45 to look forward to.
Mid-40s possible early on Tuesday morning, and we have not seen temperatures like that since early May.
Toasty, though, for those daytime games.
Oh,
tomorrow.
yes.
Yeah.
You will need the sunscreen and drink plenty of water.
Have to prepare. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great night.